What's up, everybody? Hey, today in this video I want to talk about stepping into your true calling, like who God really made you to be. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but there's this Japanese art out there, kintsugi, and what it is you take like a porcelain mug or bowl and you break it, like shatter it with a hammer, but then you put it back together. And there's a similar thing that happens with Peter, the Apostle Peter, in this week's reading. It's been going on all throughout this entire reading plan, but it comes kind of to a head, and there's this gut-wrenching scene in the middle of it when Jesus is being crucified and Peter denies Jesus. And so what happens, originally, if you go all the way back to the very beginning, Jesus calls Simon to come follow him. One thing that's fascinating to note is Jesus says, "You'll no longer be known as Simon, but now you will be called Peter." So he takes possibly the most important thing to anybody, right? Their name, and he changes it. He gives them a new name. And so Jesus calls Peter to come follow him. And then there's another scene in the middle of the Gospels where Peter steps forward and has an amazing mountaintop moment where he answers the question correctly when he says, Jesus says, "Who do people say that I am, and who do you say that I am?" Peter says, "You're the Messiah." He's like, "You're right. And upon this rock, upon this proclamation, upon you, I will build my church." Then there's the gut-wrenching scene where Peter denies Jesus, and he went from up here to down in the dumps, and it says he literally leaves weeping. He's so confused, he doesn't know what to do, what to expect. So in that moment, that kintsugi, right, like Peter, he's being broken, and all this time Jesus is putting him back together until finally, right before Jesus ascends, he comes to Peter and he gives him that redemption, and he says, "Feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep." A lot of scholars think that it was done 3 times because that's the amount of times that Peter denied Jesus. And so Jesus is now coming back and he's reflecting that exact same moment. It wasn't done on accident. It wasn't done because Jesus couldn't hear very well. It was done for a specific purpose. And if you fast forward past the Gospels, so you didn't read this, you see in the book of Acts, Peter stand up and boldly proclaim the gospel. Because here's what happens. The end of Jesus' life, right before the ascension, he gives this commission to go and make disciples of all nations, like baptizing them, teaching them, obeying everything that's been commanded. And now Peter, the guy who started as a lowly fisherman, who had been passed over for rabbi school all the way back then, who denied Jesus, who had all these hiccups, all these brash kind of moments along the way, Peter is the one who stands up and he boldly proclaims, and it says that thousands were added to their number that day. What had to happen was Peter had to be taken apart himself. He had to be shattered and broken so that Jesus could put him back together. And what you see at the end of a kintsugi project is the cracks are accentuated with gold, but in so doing it's often more beautiful than before when the brokenness is displayed. And so I think there's a lot of truth. Peter's life, we can relate to that a lot, right? Our brokenness, we need Jesus to come in, give us a new name, give us a new purpose, and give us a new calling. And that calling is, just like Peter, to make fishers of men, to teach others the message of Jesus, and to show them the love of Christ. So how can you help carry out Jesus' words, the Great Commission that we see in Matthew chapter 28, Acts chapter 1, go into all the world, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. Let's do it. Hope you had a great time following along in my 8 weeks journeying through the Gospels in chronological order. I had fun doing these videos and doing these readings. I learned a lot. It was great. Catch you guys later.